Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Doesn't matter who you are or how you found us, we're glad you're here. So I wanted to address a few things that have been bothering me recently, actually. Just wanted to talk about them. I'm going to try to do this all in one take, so here we go. First, thank you. Got 140 subscribers now, so thanks to everybody who has subscribed. Speaking of subscribing, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff helps the channel. Want to grow this thing, kind of spread that message of preparedness and the message that, you know, stronger communities through individual preparedness. So kind of continuing right along. One of the things that's been bothering me recently is I have seen in my feed coming up on YouTube multiple channels. It's not channels that I'm subscribed to, but because of the other things I view, you know, a lot of preparedness stuff, wilderness stuff, shooting stuff. It's, you know, the algorithm generates these things in my feed. So I see these other preparedness channels and everything, it's like, it just makes it seem like it's tomorrow the world's going to end. Caveat. You should be preparing. So also, sorry if the sound isn't real good. I left my good microphone in the house when I came out to the shop and didn't feel like going back in and getting it because I wanted to get this video up. So, but in particular, there's one channel that I've seen where it felt like every day or every few days I'd see it pop up and it was like, I just got this message from an insider. It's about to go down. And then like a few days later is, I just got a disturbing email. It's happening tomorrow. And then, you know, a few days later, just got a message from somebody on the inside. Prepare now, top 10 things to buy. And, you know, I don't even click on the videos, so I don't know if it's a legitimate list and it's just purely clickbait, or if it is they're trying to sell you something. You know, they're directing you to their website and they want you to buy this stuff now. So, but man, I have a problem with that. There is, I think it comes down to when I decided to start this channel, because I've seen things like that on YouTube periodically, you know, but it just seems like I've seen it a lot more recently from multiple channels. But when I started this channel, I don't want it to be about fear. I want you to use your mind, your brain. Now, I think anybody would take a look at the world around us, what you see on the news, and everything, you know, from the situation in Ukraine, about how that's going to affect global food prices and global logistics, things like that, oil coming out of Russia, things like that, not to mention our own country being, you know, driven into the ground by the current administration, but that's not what this video is about. But, you know, inflation on the rise, rising food costs, rising gas prices, just your dollar not going as far, instability in local federal government, things like that, kind of should, if somebody is awake at all and paying attention at all, should make you concerned. So what I want to say is, you know, I think most of us should have a heightened awareness right now about these things. If you've been in the preparedness game for a while, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe accelerate some things. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to touch on things that I think I did back in my second video. So for my channel, not really that long ago, but wanted to touch on those things again, how I prepare, approach things. So if you've been preparing for a while, keep doing what you're doing. If you see videos, thumbnails like that, maybe let it light a little fire under you, but you don't need to panic. That's the big thing. Don't panic. And if you're just starting to prepare, if you're just kind of waking up, I'm going to give you some things here in a minute, the way I approach things that may help you stay calm, cool, and collected, and not go out spending money where you don't necessarily need to spend money, or don't spend money on things that you don't actually need because somebody had a flashy ad on YouTube or wherever you see it. And that is how I approach things. So I break down preparedness into five areas, and in no particular order, but food and water, shelter, energy, medical, so health needs. That also includes sanitation, and defense, right? So you put those 5 things together. You think about the things in your everyday life. You live in your house, that's your shelter. You have access to Tylenol, Advil, or any other prescription medications you may have because you go see your doctor regularly. You've got food on the table. You're warm or cool inside your house with central heat and air. And at the very least, for defense, you have locks on your doors, right? So, and you can expand on that from there as far as your everyday life goes. Now, think about a disaster scenario where when you can't get to the store, the power shut off, so you don't have electricity to provide heat and air. Maybe there's a boil order or something like that. The water's shut off for some reason, water main break, infrastructure is breaking down. How are you going to get that water? So kind of, doing those scenarios, right? So, but those are the 5 areas. Getting off track a little. Those are the 5 areas. How I approach those things is I, run scenarios, most likely scenarios in my head. What would I do? And you don't need a specific scenario, because everything in your preps should work kind of no matter what the emergency is, right? The only reason you are going to need a Faraday cage is if you were expecting an EMP attack, right? So high impact, or if that ever were to happen, either from a solar flare or an attack or a nuclear device, high impact but low probability. That's just an example. Pick your example of the Yellowstone caldera blowing up, meteor hitting the Earth, etc., etc. But for the most part, if you have extra food, some extra cash and savings, a gun with some extra ammunition, you've got a few extra medical supplies stored away, a way to filter water, and a way to keep a roof over your head, that's going to meet most of your scenarios, even if the disaster is you losing your job, right? Having some extra food stored and some money in the bank, that's going to give you longer to figure out what your next steps are. And that's a disaster that only really affects you and your family. Doesn't even necessarily affect the neighbors to the left and right of you. But so you take those 5 areas, and I call this the breakdown. So we broke the preparedness down into these 5 areas that you can focus on. Breakdown, evaluate. Okay, so I'm going to look at each area. So I'm going to look at my food and water. How far, if X event was to happen tomorrow, how far would the food in my pantry take me right now? How far would a day, a week, a month, 2 months? how far would it take me? And you know, couple that with water. Do I have a way to purify water, or am I just counting on the tap being on with clean drinking water, right? So I'm going to think about that and set a goal for myself. Okay, well, the food in my pantry is going to last me a week for me and my family. It's not a real long amount of time if all the stores are shut down because the trucks aren't moving or whatever is going on, right? I'm going to increase that. I want to make it a month. Okay, so you set that goal. You set about to meet that goal. You meet that goal, you go look at the next thing. So shelter. So for most people, that's your house. What if you had to leave your house? Do you have a way to keep a roof over your head? Whether that be, hey, we're going to leave and we're going to go to Aunt Jenny and Uncle Michael's up the road. You know, up the road is a relative term. We're going to go stay with them for a while. That's the roof over our head, right? Or are we have a really nice tent and really nice camping set up because we go routinely camping. Are we going to go find a spot at a campsite or out in the woods? Everybody's situation is different, right? You got to make a plan for you. So once you've kind of gotten that, and that doesn't mean you should limit yourself to one. We're either going to Aunt Jenny and Uncle Michael's, or we're going to go camp in the woods. Like maybe you can plan for both eventually. But once you have some kind of plan in place, then you go to the next. Then you go to the next thing, right? So energy. How am I going to, if the lights are out, how am I going to cook my food? Because that's going to take some kind of energy source, whether it be electricity or gas or wood. How am I going to cook my food? How am I going to charge my phone? It's kind of the world we live in now. We get most of our information and our news from our devices, right? So backup batteries, stuff like that. Anyway, you get the idea. So you break it down to those 5 areas. You evaluate where you're at and set a goal in each of those areas. You set about to meet that goal, and then you accumulate those things, right? So I'm going to accumulate a month of food. I'm going to have a tent and camping supplies if we have to leave, and I know that there's no place real close for us to go. We're going to have a stockpile of batteries and a generator, right, and things that go with that. So once you accumulate those things, when you get back, let's say defense is your last thing, which it doesn't have to be last for you. You choose the order you go in. So you've upped your level of defense, whether that means upgrading the locks on your doors, or whether that means purchasing your first firearm or another firearm. Maybe you've only got a pistol, you're going to get a long gun, right? Training. Don't forget training. That's important. Same for medical. You should have some kind of medical training. And that could be a step, right? Sometimes medical training, that might not cost you anything. Videos on YouTube are free, right? So if that's the best you can do, I suggest going and taking classes, but I digress. Let's reel it in, Justin. So, break down, evaluate, and accumulate. And then you start over. So now you've got a month of food. What's your next goal? Right? So, don't be fearful. Be smart and move according to how you see the times going. If you think, like I said, if you've been doing this for a while and you feel like you need to accelerate, let some of the things you're seeing light a fire under you. If you're just getting started, welcome to the community, and you can drop stuff in the comments if you have questions. I'll put a link down below. I actually have a couple of books on Amazon. One entitled, I Didn't Prepare, Now What? That I kind of wrote that in the middle of when everybody was locked down for COVID, and things that you could do. You hadn't seen a video like this. You hadn't prepared at all. That whole thing took you completely blindsided you. Now you're stuck at home. That was a book kind of about things you could do in the circumstances that you find yourself in. Then there's also Preparedness, a primer that I wrote. which is basically goes down the accumulation method, breaking it down into those 5 areas and the things you can do, considerations you want to look at. It's an ebook. I think it's a few bucks. You can download that on Amazon if you want more information. Again, you can message me, put something in the comments. Follow me on GETTR. I'll have that link down below. And I think that's it, guys. I just kind of really wanted to address that because I see these things and it just aggravates me, you know? Especially when I see the same channel week over week, like doing that thing with a scary thumbnail, you know, like cities burning and stuff like that. I'm just like, fear is not the answer. Your brain is the answer, right? So, but don't sit on your butts either. So you got to have a balance. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, share, help me grow this channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, bye.